The Subaru Share the Love event is on from November 20th to January 2nd. By the end of this event, Subaru and its retailers will have donated over $350 million to charity. When you purchase or lease a new vehicle during the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru and its retailers will make a minimum $300 donation to charity. Visit Subaru.com/share to learn more.
Hello, it's Martin here, and before we begin, I wanted to let you know that this episode of How We Are the Podcast is sponsored by LiveScore Bet, a proud principal partner of Sunderland AFC. And if you're looking to get started, LiveScore Bet have got a cracking welcome offer for new customers. All you've got to do is bet £10 on sports and get £30 in free bets. It's as simple as that. So, if you're ready to join the action, make sure you're doing it with LiveScore Bet, the home of total betting. This offer is available to new members only, and you need to put a £10 or more bet on sports within 14 days of opening your account. Free bets are valid for 7 days, £20 to use on Sportsbook, £10 on Bet Builder. T's and C's and deposit exclusions apply. Please bet responsibly, and remember it's for over 18s only. Now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to How We Are the Podcast, sponsored by LiveScore Bet. It's Martin here, and you are joining myself and Andrew right in the full-time whistle after Sunderland get an exceptionally good point at home to Manchester City. And what are we, Andrew, to start 2026?
Yeah, it was all right, wasn't it?
Oh, man. Brilliant.
I maybe feel, maybe sound a little bit croaky because that was one of those games where I was kicking every ball and jumping for every header, and I was up and down out of my seat going crackers. Because it was a really brilliant way to start 2026. Buzzing.
I'll tell you what, I'm sure every single one of us, right, and everybody listening, had at the back of the mind, oh shit, about this game, because you got Manchester City, who are one of the best teams in the world. Let's face it, they are one of the best teams in the world. We, without our players for AFCON, we looked a bit tired. Ballard's out, and the performance we put in, like on another day, we could have come away with a 1-0 win there, because I just thought, to a man, from start to finish, the subs, everybody was absolutely fantastic. And, it kind of, you almost feel a bit daft for even doubting that we'd be able to compete tonight, because, quite rightly, some of us were a bit concerned about that game, weren't we? But it just showed the desire and drive and the attitude and everything that the players have combined with the talent. You can't doubt it, can you? That's a line in the sand. You cannot doubt this team at all, because we were superb.
Exactly. All those terms you've used there are exactly right. We paired aggression and commitment with organization and control. And need I say it, this is with a starting 11 that is shorn of 4 or 5, maybe 6 even first team regulars. So we've done all of those things despite being severely hampered. And I can't get my head around it. I think this time last year we beat Sheffield United, and that was a great performance. But in that calendar year since then, have we jumped about 15, 16 places in the pyramid? Yeah. Something like that. And yet there's even more to come, because if we can do that type of performance against Man City and shut out Haaland, who's supposedly one of the best players on the planet, if we can do that whilst missing 1 or 2 regulars, that bodes well for the final few months of this season.
Oh, it does. And, to keep the unbeaten record at home as well, going into 2026, absolutely superb. The team news, Andrew, there was one change, wasn't there? Chris Rigg dropped out, and Eliza Mayenda came in for a rare start for him. But, he was typical. Him, Dingra, Dennis Serkin, they've been given opportunities with the players out at AFCON. And my God, they've took those opportunities. I thought Mayenda was absolutely brilliant tonight. start to finish. He worked really hard for ball. For a lad who hasn't played a great deal of first team football, I thought maybe after an hour or so he might tire. He was still ploughing into people on, in injury time at the end of the second half, wasn't he? And the three of them, I thought, were brilliant. Dennis Serkin was superb, I thought, and again, my ender was brilliant. Adingra caused some problems, but it just shows the attitude in the squad, doesn't it? To come in, want to seize that opportunity. My ender could have the hump for not starting and not being given much of a chance over the last few months, same as Adingra could do, and absolutely brilliant. It's astoundingly good how they've taken to stepping up and putting that performance in.
You're dead right. I mean, those three players that you named all were fantastic. You could go through each and every player and wax lyrical about them because everybody did a remarkable job. But that's only Serkin's second game in the Premier League, and he just looked comfortable. And this wasn't against a lower half team. This was against some of the very best of the best.
Yeah.
My ender, like you say, fair play to Gav. He's been calling for it in a couple of the preview pods of late for him to get a spot. He was superb. Like you say, he was still running, still working hard in the second half. He didn't tire. I think there was a couple of times he won us really important free kicks as well, where he helped relieve the pressure. There was feelings in the Championship that sometimes he could lose the ball cheaply. I can't remember too many instances against City where that was the case. And Adingra did some stuff where he looked lively. And it's really important that we say that because in the first half, we arguably had the better chances. This wasn't a team that shut up shop and were just hanging on in. There was no parking of the bus or anything. Like you say, and there was times when Adingra and one or two others were causing a bit of a threat and making Man City panic. There were times in the first half where players were going down, almost as if it was to give Man City a chance to regroup and pull themselves together because we had them on the ropes.
Well, we did, and as I say, my ender came in for Chris Rigg, but we actually saw a bit of a system change, didn't we? Trowder went over to right back, which I think certainly caught a lot of us out, so would have probably caught Man City out as well, because that was a little bit unexpected. And we kind of reverted that system that we played at Liverpool almost, with Trey Hume playing as a right winger to a large extent, but then dropping back and supporting when he needed to. And as you say, look, we had a bit of an early escape, didn't we, with Man City getting the goal disallowed from a corner, rightly given offside by the linesman and confirmed by VAR. But after that, I thought for the first 30, 35 minutes, we were by far the better side. And as you say, you had players going down. You had the Man City players all coming over to get some tactical instructions from Guardiola, because they were struggling to cope with our press. I think they really surprised us how forward our press was, how aggressive it was, because we were just going after them. We were playing 4-4-2 for a lot of the game, then kind of dropping back into a 5 when we needed to. And they couldn't cope with us, And after that goal got disallowed, and again, rightly disallowed, we had breaks where, my ender played it into Hume and they got the ball across. We obviously had a great chance for Brian Broby when Mukiele put him through and Donnarumma saved. But man, we could very easily have found ourselves in the lead in that first half. And I thought that was the best we've played for a few weeks in terms of just how good we were.
I think there's an argument to say that there was parts in the first half that was our best football of the season, even. And that is a high bar to begin with. It was a little bit brave, you could say, for Gertrude to be moved back because he'd done so well in midfield against Leeds. So, managers don't change things just for the sake of it. But Hume, I mean, a word for Trey Hume, man. This is a lad who's come up from League One with us to the top half of the Premier League now, primarily as a defender, and yet he's being given a role where he's this kind of, I mean, I thought at points he was playing central midfield. There was a time when he
was,
pops
yeah.
up. Yeah.
He was all over the place.
Aye, there was times, and normally when you say a Sunderland player was all over the place, you mean it in a bad way.
In the
But
past,
yeah, he's popped up just before half time near the penalty spot for a header.
Should have
I
scored
think
that, by the way.
yeah,
Should have scored that.
it went over the bar. I think he was unmarked. But yeah, for somebody who's predominantly a defender to play such a tactically demanding role as that, and again against one of the best teams in the world, we've got to start giving this lad real respect. I mean, he's always been well respected and well liked by the fans, but this, I mean, what type of asking price could you put on Hume now? Like a lot of them.
Yeah. He's one of them who's really stepped up in quality, hasn't he? And I think it's been surrounded by better players. He's took that challenge because if you looked at the signings during summer, I think LeBris said it during the summer. Trey Hume's been you kind of said Trey Hume's been a little bit fortunate because the signings we made in defence came later in the window, so he's in possession of the shirt now, and it's up to him. And he has taken that chance. By God, like he has come on leaps and bounds this season. And again, training with better players, surrounded by better players, playing with better players. It's helped him a lot, but he's still got to step up and do it. And as you say, the most impressive thing is that tactical intelligence, where he can step into different positions at different parts of the game. And he was fantastic. I tell you what, there was one tackle he made in the second half, which the referee, who was bloody awful, by the way, gave as a foul. And it was a superb tackle. Absolutely superb tackle. But, man, again, we could go through all... Actually, we should just go through all the players, shouldn't we? Because you could pick every single one of them out, and you could quite rightly laud them for the performance.
The Hume tackle, I'm glad you raised that, because that, to me, was one of the best slide tackles I've seen in I don't know how long. It was perfectly executed. Now, admittedly, I was at the game in person, so I've not seen replays, and maybe some of my memories are all a bit hazy because I'm still on a high and the adrenaline's pumping from the game. But yeah, to me at that time, it was stunning. And for the ref to blow, again, I was out of my chair, I was fuming. And then when I sat back down, I thought, am I really that surprised? Because it wasn't the first time the ref made an absolutely horrific call. He was, like you say, Martin, mate, he was a joke. I know football fans always have a go at referees, and I know it's a difficult job for them, but genuinely, some of the calls he was making was just laughable.
Well, he's got form with Sunderland, hasn't he? And also, we're not going to stick on the referee for too long because it'll bring the mood of the podcast out, and we should be, going through every single Sunderland player and saying how good they are. But the one thing that really pissed me off with the referee, he'd go through phases in the games where he'd blow for everything, and then he'd go through phases where he'd let everything go. And it's just like, what planet are you on? You can't do that. Do it consistently in the game, not consistently for a minute, and then it's baffling.
Yeah, I take your point, and it's a shame. Sunderland's excellent performance is a focus, but the one that probably got me was he was more than happy for Man City to pinch a few yards in throw-ins.
Oh, yeah.
They were pinching more than a few yards with a couple of free kicks. They were taking the time in the first half, like I say, trying to take the sting out of us, delaying goal kicks and all of this. The second Sunderland do any of that, and he starts telling the players to hurry themselves up, and you're like,
mental, man.
Oh, yeah, mad. But you're dead right. Sunderland were, the focus is Sunderland, and hey, what a team at the moment.
And look, first half, we again, we came on really strong. I think you're probably right. Best performance of the season in that first half. I thought we were brilliant. We moved the ball around well. I tell you what was really impressive as well. Very early on, Mayenda was obviously pushed up into that 4-4-2. And bear in mind, he hasn't been in the team for, I think the Brentford game was the last game he started. And he was shouting at Broby to be in different positions, and he was controlling the front of the press. And how good is that somebody who hasn't actually been in the team still has the confidence and is still so bought into what we're trying to do. And he knows exactly what his strike partner should be doing. And he was ordering Broby around the field early on. But I thought we were fantastic, and say we had a shot from Trey Hume that just went over the bar. Mukiele put the ball through to Broby, who had a great chance. Donnarumma pulled off a good save, but if you're going to be hypercritical, you really want your striker to be putting that one away. But he used his strength to get past the defender and brush him off. And again, I think it was a good save. Mayenda was causing all sorts of problems down the right. Mayenda had a shot that, I think Foden gave the ball away, didn't he? Mayenda had a shot that was deflected wide and we got a corner from it. And we were really pressing well. Final ball maybe let us down on occasion if you're going to be mega critical as well. But we still needed Robin Roofs, who, had a fantastic game. Roofs, when he didn't have tons to do, but when he was called on to do something, he did it extremely well. And he made a great save from Haaland, didn't he? He looked odds on that Haaland was going to score. And he made a fantastic save from Haaland in the first half to keep it at 0-0.
Was that the one with his feet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Live, I hadn't really appreciated how good that was, but I caught a replay of it at half time, and it was fantastic. Actually, it's quite difficult to get your feet sorted in that type of situation, and he was brilliant.
Nah. And the only worrying thing is Pep's probably looking at Roofs in goal and looking how comfortable he is with the ball at his feet and how good a goalkeeper he is, and he's probably making a mental note about that. But half time 0-0. Say Trey Hume had that header just before half time that he certainly should have gotten target. Granit Xhaka put the cross in for that. And at half time, we have been so good. We should have been up by one goal. I genuinely do think we should have been 1-0 up. And the question then was, can we keep that up for the second half? No changes at half time. And there was a stat that said no Premier League side so far this season has restricted Man City to fewer attempts in the first half than we did. So while we had a few opportunities at the other end, we'd really controlled the game. City couldn't get through us. And I thought we were just superb. Second half started and they almost got a chance, didn't they? I think Savinho had a chance that he probably should have scored. He put over the bar. And you kind of go, it happened against Leeds the other day, didn't it? When they scored immediately after half time, you're thinking, are we going to be able to keep it up? But we straight away went straight back at them. And, we had a Sirkin broke down the left and Adingra had a shot. Mayenda cut inside and had a shot after a brilliant pass from Enzo Lefebvre. And we had that spell, didn't we, for about 10 minutes of the second half where we were really on top of them, really at them. And we just needed a goal at some point. I think the longer that went on, the mentality shifts a little bit, doesn't it? And think, well, we're just going to have to, because they're always going to have a spell. And we kind of, I think we do it sometimes, don't we? We let them have the ball and we let them play and we try to catch them on the break. And Brian Broby went off apparently with a bit of a hamstring injury, so hopefully that's not too serious. This is all came on and we were trying to catch them on the break and trying to get the ball over the top. And we had a few chances, but that last, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour, it was pretty backs to the wall stuff. And you saw a different side to Sunderland. You can't doubt just how good our mentality is because we were throwing bodies in the way of the ball. Mukiele, Alderete, two of them were unbelievable, by the way. And God, it was just, I know we don't necessarily like watching Sunderland defend too much because sometimes it is heart and mouth stuff, but my God, it's an art. It's a joy to watch sometimes because we just want to defend, don't we?
We do, and we do both aspects of defending. I think sometimes you have to be careful of just seeing players throw themselves into blocks and clearances and headers and swiping it off the line and all of that and think, wow, that's great defending. But a lot of defending is kind of done before the ball gets into the box through organisation and knowing when to stand or when to jockey a player. And we were doing all of that. There were very few instances of us diving in and ending up on our backside and letting the Man City player just run away. How many times do we see this, though? Teams invariably up their game against Man City. And they have a few chances and the fans get themselves up for it and think, hey, we've got a chance here. And Man City just ride it out, bide the time, and then go and score. Yeah. And then it's 2 or 3-0 and the opposition fans go away kind of saying, oh, well, we'll give them a game at least. We did better than that because we did push them, we did panic them, But then, like you say, maybe those last 20 minutes or so, we were once again rock solid. I think we must have maybe only conceded one goal now in the last 4 games, something like that.
We have,
I'd
yeah.
have to,
It was
yeah,
only the Leeds game, wasn't it?
yeah. And again, Roofs has had one really good save to make where, I don't know who it was, but he's ended up like in 3 in the 6-yard box and he's headed it. Roofs has put it over the bar. But other than that, he's not throwing himself here, there and everywhere. It's controlled. The ball's not even getting to him because they're defending like lions and they're brave and they're putting themselves in the way of the ball. But then there's other times when a high ball's going up, they're phenomenal. I mean, we made Haaland look toothless at times, and there was a moment in the first half where we made him take a ridiculous air shot somewhere near the centre circle. I don't know what happened there. So yeah, we just in all aspects of defending, we seem to have it down to a T. And this is a back four which has changed constantly. There are always players switching in and out or moving to slightly different positions, and yet they never miss a beat.
We're going to take a really short break there, and we're going to be back very soon after a couple of ads to continue talking about how brilliant Sunderland are. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to How We're the podcast, sponsored by LiveScore Betting. You've got me and Andrew reacting to the Man City game and just talking about generally how good Sunderland are. And one of the great things that is maybe been a little bit missed immediately after the game is that we went into this game, right, Andrew, with Granit Xhaka, Enzo Lefebvre, and Trey Yumo all on 4 yellow cards. And this was the last game that if they got a fifth, they're going to be banned for. So we actually managed to negotiate that fantastically well. But all 3 of them were absolutely superb. And again, you could probably apply that to every single player who plays for us tonight. But I thought Xhaka was superb. He controlled the game. Enzo Lefebvre's work rate, man. This lad has absolute world-class quality on the ball, I think. But his work rate off the ball is so good. We talked about Trey Young before the break, but Lefebvre, let's talk about Enzo Lefebvre for a bit because he is just unbelievable. Like, he is absolutely class. And he's got everything. Like, what can't he do?
I know. It's mad. I mean, his ball control and that is phenomenal. And please tell me, you know that incident where we were under pressure, we broke, and he backheeled it and he got pushed over?
Yeah.
That was deliberate, wasn't it? He did mean it. He knew he was about to get clattered. He knew there was a player behind him and nobody in front of him.
Yeah.
And he's just flicked the ball back. Which also reminds me, there was a couple of times Xhaka, cool as anything, just heads the ball back to Roofs. Like,
it was
in the
2 or
middle
3
of a
times,
melee.
wasn't it? 2
Yeah,
or 3 times.
But Lefebvre just has so many different aspects to his game. I think casual observers might mistakenly just think he's a bit of like a flair player, but not a bit of it. He's got a great engine and great desire alongside it. Phenomenal. It's just, I know that these reaction pods, the way it is you're meant to say certain, like, point out certain negatives and that, but I don't think there's a player on that pitch you can criticise.
There's not many negatives, is there? Just having a look quickly online, and Pep Guardiola's reacted to the game just while we've been recording here, and he says it's a mystery how Manchester City didn't score. Created lots against that team, especially in the second half. In the first half, we struggled because of their press, but we were a lot better in the second half. They were man-marking aggressively. We couldn't get the ball up front. Second half, we played better. They are so physical. They are so strong. We will take the point. So, you've got Pep saying, how strong and physical we were, and they're going to take the point. They can't not take the point, of course, but
no.
It was again it's just testament to that. Again, that, and you absolutely bang on before. It isn't a matter of them just chucking the bodies on the line and chucking the heads in the way. It's the structure to actually push teams around. And quite often, we were frustrating Man City because they couldn't get the ball in positions where they wanted, so they actually forced a pass. And often it was a pass that they didn't actually want to play, and either went out of play or they returned possession back to us. And again, so good, man. So good. And it just sets us up nicely, doesn't it? Because you're going into this run of games with AFCON, and there was always that risk, right? And I think if we didn't have Labris as manager, this becomes a thing. So you had this whole focus on building up the Newcastle game before AFCON. Huge game, right? Quite rightly so, huge game. And then the players and the staff even could have used that run after it as a bit of an excuse. Look, we're losing 4 or 5 players, 6 players, whatever it is. We've got this run of hard games, Brighton away, Leeds at home, Man City at home, and then obviously we've got Tottenham and Brentford coming up. And you could easily go, oh, well, even like psychologically, subconsciously, they could have gone, we'll take our foot off the gas, Christmas, we've got to that point, we've beaten Newcastle, we've earned a few points in the bank, we can, maybe relax a little bit. But they haven't, have they? And they keep on going and going. And so good, man.
Oh, Martin, you make a load of really good points there. Yeah, the mentality to keep going is different to anything we've ever seen at this club before. Like you say, in the past, we might have beaten the Mags, and then the players think, oh, well, we've deserved a couple of weeks off now. And then you go and one that springs to mind, I think we lost, after beating them at home, I think we lost the following week to Stoke quite dismally, just where the players just didn't turn up. So yeah, the mentality's different. There is this ready-made excuse to reason away any defeats that we may have, but the players and the coaching staff aren't taking that. The mentality as well, like you say, of those 3 players who were on a suspension tightrope, to play as focused as they did, whilst also not getting a cheap yellow, is phenomenal. You've said there, Guardiola's said a couple of things about Sunderland, and some of the things he said there, I'm like, yeah, come on, you're kidding yourself there. But he said there, Sunderland are strong and physical, which is true. At no point has he claimed that we've been over the top. We're not bullies. We're not going around maiming players. We are strong. We are physical, but it's always within the confines of what is and isn't allowed.
Oh, yes, but you know what? I don't even think it's like edging on the line. I think it's just we play really, we use that really well. And you look at the fouls, I think the referee gave a few more fouls against us than he did against City, but there was 1 yellow card each. And that was for a soft tackle by Adingra where he kind of stood on the back of somebody's leg without really meaning to. So it's not as if you got loads of people flying into really sort of borderline tackles. It's really well controlled.
Controlled is exactly right. We've got this brilliant balance between intensity and aggression, but also it's we're knowing how to use it. Again, just thinking about the points Guardiola made there, and if you read between the lines, it's a decent point and we'll take it. We're now in a position where a team that's won the Champions League in recent history is happy to come away from the Stadium of Light with a draw.
Well, maybe not happy, but they're not beating themselves up about it, are they?
Yeah. There was a podcast I heard prior to the game, and it was like a national thing. It wasn't just a club focused thing; it was a national thing, and it was almost a throwaway line. They said something like, "Oh, and of course, Arsenal pleased to have beaten Aston Villa, and they can now put their feet up as Man City go to Sunderland. That'll be a tough game for them," and then just moved on. It was just the fact that it was a throwaway line, and it was just said as if it was matter of fact. Yeah, going to Sunderland now is a tough game where even the best teams in the Premier League can conceivably come unstuck. You said earlier as well, our unbeaten home record's good. I think that's a lovely little thing to preserve for the time being. And there is this real fear factor and this idea of the stadium being a fortress now. I've remembered one criticism I've got, Martin, and even that isn't too bad. All I was going to say is I was really hoping somebody was going to kick that jerky fella up a height. Because do you remember it? Do you remember it at the home game a few weeks ago? He did that really annoying.
Yeah.
Was it a Rabona cross or something?
It was, apparently. Yeah.
And I thought, you cheeky get. I hope somebody absolutely does you at the stadium. And he didn't get past us. He didn't beat us, but sadly, we didn't see anybody put him into the stands. So come on, Sunderland, do better next time.
Well, maybe if Trey, Hume, Grant, Jack, and Enzo Olafay hadn't all been on the threat of a suspension, they might have put one in. Regis Labris has also spoken after the game while we've been recording. He says it's one more good point against one of the best teams in Europe, with many threats they can score from everywhere, from different phases. I think we defended well. We were bold to press high, a bit more consistent in the mid-block, I think. In the defensive third, we were consistent. It was like a hybrid system. We used the system at Liverpool once. I thought it was a good option today because if you drop too early in your back five, you can't face over the full game their ability to manage the ball and create chances. I think it went well. With the ball, I think we showed many good things as well. We struggled when we played away at City to escape their counter-press. They were impressive. They were good again today, but I think we were better this time. I think this point helped us to manage the ball and to breathe because it's important to have the ball. We created chances as well. Our low build-up was good, especially during the first half. I think we are learning. I think from the first game against this team to the second one, we showed that we adjusted to many things. I think it shows that these players are ready to learn and to change different things to be more competitive, which is really positive. And talking about the players who've come in because of the AFCON players who are missing, he said obviously they have to learn, they have to show their quality on the pitch. But what we see every day on the training pitch, they have good profiles. And if you give them the structure, the confidence, great leaders, I think they can play well. For example, Dennis and Eli today were good. He also talked about Brian Broby's hamstring. He said he doesn't think it's too serious at the moment. So that is good news. But it's really interesting, those comments, isn't it? Because he himself is admitting that he's still learning and he can learn. And he's obviously looked at that City game a few weeks ago. We actually thought we played well, but they were just too good on the day for us. But he's done things slightly differently to try to get the advantage. And today it's worked. And all credit to him as well, man, because he is just getting the very best out of the group players he's got. But also he's proven himself to be on the way to becoming the world-class football manager, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. The guy just... I love him a bit in terms of his character. It makes me laugh. I think that fella could win the lottery and he still wouldn't go overboard. He's always just takes everything nice and easy, very steady. I think that's a really good attitude to have and a good environment to create. I think the players probably appreciate somebody who doesn't fly off the handle or doesn't go, either way. But yeah, that's all very well and good. But the main things he needs to do is set up this squad, and he does it fantastically. Like you say, he doesn't rest on his laurels. He's happy to look inwardly and see where he can improve and get us even better. But come on, I mean, at the risk of repeating myself, this time last year we were in the Championship. He is just the progress he has seen and the hope and the expectation that it could get even better is phenomenal. People keep saying, is this the best squad we've had at the Stadium of Light and all of this? And obviously the Peter Reid times were really fun. But you do have to think, when was the last time we've ever had it this good?
Yeah.
And he's a huge part of that.
He certainly is. And I think if Regis Labris won the lottery, he'd say it would cause him an interesting problem that he'd need to solve, wouldn't he? One thing I just do want to touch upon before we wrap this one up, Andrew, before the game, there was a big display with the Heaven branch, which fantastic. And again, it just every bit of the club, and obviously this was kind of organised outside of the club. I think it was the Heaven supporters branch, wasn't it, with Joanne? And I think Gav spoke to her a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. But brilliant, and again, just really, well, it's really kind of cementing that place that Sunderland has in people's hearts, the importance it has for people, the meaning it has, and that's got to be there for the foundation of a successful club, because nothing else can happen if you haven't got that sort of stuff really, really going on, that feeling, that meaning. And the display from the Heaven branch before the game, the applause for the people who we've lost in the past 12 months, absolutely fantastic, heartfelt, holding the pictures up of people was moving, wasn't it?
It was really touching. And, you know, we all know people close to us who've lost somebody, or we've lost somebody ourselves. Really touching. I know what you're saying about the Heaven branch or an outside organisation arranging this, but there were times in the past where groups were trying to arrange this type of thing, and get nowhere with the club. You know, there was accusations of staff being unhelpful and deliberately awkward. So yeah, the club have got a part in it, in supporting Joanne and the Heaven branch and what have you. But yeah, all of these things are right. And it's easy to be positive when the team are doing well, but it all feeds into each other, because people are taking pride in the club, which fans can see, and fans are then repaying that with their support. I mean, as well, New Year's Day, bitterly cold weather, there's absolutely no public transport on, and yet it is a packed house and people are not leaving. So the support is there doing their bit. The players clearly appreciate it, because again, you're seeing lads, if they win a free kick or a throw in or whatever, they're like, you know, geeing up the crowd and feeding off it. Everything is working together. And again, that feeds to this idea of me thinking that this probably is the best we've had it for a long time. I always like going to watch Sunderland play, but there have been times when you kind of wish things were different and you come away dejected. It's an absolute pleasure being part of this club at the moment. I can't get enough of it.
Brilliant. Let's hope it continues long into 2026. And, you know, we think 2025 has been good. Who knows what 2026 could have in store? So it's got off to a good start. Thank you very much, Andrew. Always a pleasure, mate.
No, thank you for having us on. And always fun, isn't it, talking about Sunderland when they're putting in the effort like that and doing so well.
100%. Gav and Johnny will be back tomorrow with a bit more of a structured look into the Man City game and a look ahead to Spurs as well. They'll be joined by Jason Jones of the Sunderland Echo. We'll have that one out for you before midday. But until then, Andrew, it's goodbye from us and Happy New Year to everybody who's listening. Great point against Man City. We'll see you soon.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.